Need fresh one-shots that you can pull off the shelves at a moment's notice? This might be your next DM lifesaver. Quest Giver's Guide here, and today we're reviewing Quest-O-Nomicon, published by Ghostfire Gaming. Before I dive into my experience running these one-shots, let's talk about what this book actually is. Quest-O-Nomicon is a collection of 30 one-shots, referred to as adventures, and it spans across 30 different storylines. Each storyline contains 3 different adventures that build on each other, and they each have branching endings in case you want to clean up things neatly, or you can continue on to the next adventure. For example, you could pick a storyline, run the first adventure, and if you feel like closing things out, just read the ending monologue. Or if your group's having fun and you want to keep going, use the alternate ending which sets up the next adventure. It's a flexible design that works for quick one-shots or short mini-campaigns. Let me go ahead and give you a quick example straight out of the book. It'll be worded like this in some sort of form or fashion. If you would like to conclude the story and end the adventure here, read the following text. Fill in the blank. Or, if you would like to continue the story into part 2, the characters advance to level 2, then read the following text. Fill in the blank. All of these adventures are ready to run straight out of the book. No major adjustments required. However, I will touch a little bit more on this later in the video. As for levels, each adventure assumes that the players start off at level 1, and then they level up at the end of each part. So if you run all 3 adventures or one-shots in a storyline, your players will go from level 1 all the way to level 3. Another cool feature that I like is the narrator, Sir Nominus. He's a clumsy skeleton that gives you little DM tips throughout the book. It's a fun, flavorful touch, and the advice is useful, especially if you're a newer DM running these. Finally, quick note on first impressions before we move into my experience. The thing that hooked me at the beginning was the structure. The stop or continue setup is very clever. Plus, the art looks fantastic, and the maps, which I'll touch on a little bit more later, add a ton of value. I've had this book now for a little over a year, and I've gotten to run almost every single adventure in it. So, let's go over my experience and what I liked about it. The big question that most DMs probably have now is, how long does it take to prep a session? Honestly, it depends on your experience. For me, it takes about an hour prep time. Or, as I like to call it, 60 minutes of pretending like my players are actually going to follow the plot. But here's the thing, if you're comfortable improvising, you could honestly open the book and run an adventure with 0 prep. I've done it before and it worked just fine. Well, if you don't count the part where my players made fun of me. But they do that normally. This ties into one thing that I really liked about the book, which was how easy it was to understand and pick up quickly. Some adventure books require you to read the same section a couple times before it makes sense, but here most of it's pretty straightforward. There are a few spots that take a reread, but nothing major. Now, let's talk about how long these actually take to play. I'd say on average, each adventure takes about 3 hours to play, but this depends on your group's playstyle and choices, as well as the actual adventure that you're playing in the book. Speaking of the adventures, content-wise, I really enjoyed a majority of these storylines. The ones that I didn't enjoy as much were still well written, just not to my personal taste. Without spoiling too much, I will say there's an old western train heist one-shot in the book, and it's an absolute blast. Every single group that I've run it with has had a great time. And overall, compared to official Wizards of the Coast material, Quest-O-Nomicon does feel very creative. Some match the classic mold of slaying monsters or saving cities, but others push outside the box a little bit more, like the western train chase that I mentioned. The book also adds some fun NPCs and items that give each story a little personality. Alright, so moving on to the next section, let's talk about a few things to keep in mind and a few critiques I have. If you're hoping to drop these one-shots into an existing campaign or setting, it may be a little tricky. Some of these adventures introduce new mechanics, themes, or features that may not mesh perfectly with what you want or the world you're running. A few of them could slide in with some minor tweaks, but some of them would take some heavy modification. That's not to say that you can't do it, I just think that they really shine as standalone storylines, which, from my understanding, is exactly how they were intended to be run. This next part isn't a hard critique, just more of a DM note. In a couple of places, I found myself modifying or trimming content to keep things moving and make it more exciting for my group. I'd also recommend picking up the map package, not required, but definitely boosts immersion and makes it easier to visualize at the table. And finally, one small critique. Over the last year of me reading this book, I have run into a couple small grammar errors and typos. Nothing game-breaking, just a couple minor things that tripped me up when I was reading aloud. To be fair, it has been a year since I picked up my copy, so future printings may have fixed this, and hey, who am I to judge? Just look at my session notes. So let's talk price and value. The hard copy version of the book costs $49.99. The PDF version costs $24.99. You can get the digital map pack for $9.99, or you can bundle the PDF version of the book and the map pack for $29.99. Now that you know the price, I do think you get a lot for it. There's different stories that each come with their own unique tone, and the writing is fun. If you're okay with a PDF version of the book and you use a laptop or tablet when you DM, I think the best bang for your buck is probably the digital bundle. You really can't go wrong with it. Now, if you're somebody like me who enjoys a physical copy to collect or use, it is well built and great quality. Overall, I think it's worth it, especially if your hurdle to play D&D is getting an adventure together. It's quick prep, and each story brings something new to the table. Let me know if you want to see more content like this, where I break down books or other items from my collection. But I do have a surprise coming next month, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, Quest Giver's Guide. Peace.